Joey Logano finished dead last 1 week ago. Dead last, but this Sunday at Martinsville, he shocked everyone and grabbed a podium finish instead. While Chase Elliott and Denny Hamlin were battling for the win, Logano did something nobody expected. He came back from total disaster and almost beat both of them. How did he do it? That's the insane comeback that changes his entire season. Let's talk about where Logano was before that Sunday race. The 2026 season had been rough, really rough. Going into Martinsville, Logano sat 16th in points. He had just one top 10 finish, one, in 6 races. For a 3-time Cup champion, that's a nightmare. His only top 10 before Martinsville was a 3rd-place finish at the Daytona 500 way back at the season opener. Everything after that had been disappointing. The worst part? He knew it. After that 33rd place disaster at Darlington, Logano was in full question mode. He told himself and his team that they had to rethink everything. And it wasn't just Logano struggling. Ford as a manufacturer had been struggling all season long. Even his teammate Ryan Blaney was running way ahead of him in the championship standings. That made the pressure even heavier. This wasn't just about Logano getting back on track. This was about proving that Team Penske could still compete at the highest level. But here's where this gets interesting. Logano has a track record at Martinsville that almost nobody else can claim. He walked into that half-mile race with 13 straight top 10 finishes at the paperclip. 13! Not since spring 2019 had he finished outside the top 10 there. That streak is the kind of thing that keeps a driver's confidence alive when everything else is falling apart. Since joining Team Penske in 2013, Logano had built this track into his personal fortress. He had 2 runner-up finishes at Martinsville in the new car era. He'd led 122 laps across 8 races at the half-mile under the next-gen rules. The numbers weren't just impressive, they were a history book of excellence. So when he pulled into Martinsville, he knew this was his moment. This was where he could flip the script. This was where a shocking comeback wasn't just possible. It was probable. The day started well. Logano qualified 9th. Not the pole, not even top 5, but 9th gave him a real shot to work with on a short track where restarts and pit strategy matter more than raw speed. From lap 1, you could feel the difference in his mindset. He wasn't just running a race, he was hunting. He was the hunter, and his prey was the top 5. Meanwhile, Denny Hamlin and Chase Elliott were putting on a show at the front. Hamlin got the pole and led early. Elliott was hanging around, waiting. That's what happens at Martinsville. You don't always lead at the start. You lead at the end. But while everyone's eyes were on that battle, Logano was doing something quieter. He was climbing. Stage 1 ended with Logano in the top 10, pulling stage points that he desperately needed. That's not flashy. That's not Instagram-worthy. But it's exactly how championship drivers win races. Stage 2 is where Logano's plan started taking shape. He moved up into the top 5 and held position. The number 22 team was executing pit stops perfectly. Crew chief Paul Wolfe had a game plan, and it was working. By the time they hit the final stage, Logano was sitting in 5th place, close enough to fight, but smart enough to not burn out his tires chasing ghosts. Now let's talk about what Elliott and Hamlin were doing, because this is where the shock moment happens and the title becomes reality. Hamlin absolutely dominated this race. He led 292 laps. Almost 300 laps of this race belonged to the number 11. He won the first stage, he won the second stage. He was the most dominant car on the track by a mile. Every racing expert watching had Hamlin winning this race. Every single one. The commentary was all about Hamlin and Elliott battling it out. The storyline was set. But Elliott was patient. He wasn't leading. He wasn't the flashy car. He was waiting. On lap 261, with nearly 140 laps still left to run, Elliott made a short pit stop. It was a gutsy call, a risky call. In modern NASCAR, pit strategy can win races more than speed can. Elliott's team made the move. They gambled. Then came the restart with 68 laps to go. Elliott beat Hamlin out of the pits by just enough, and suddenly he was leading. He was in clean air, and there's nothing more powerful than clean air at Martinsville. That one pit call changed everything. The final 68 laps became an Elliott versus Hamlin race. Elliott won it by 0.565 seconds. That's how Hendrick Motorsports got its first win of 2026. That's how Elliott beat the most dominant car on the track. That's how the narrative became Chevrolet bouncing back. But here's the crazy part that proves just how shocking Logano's comeback really was. While that epic battle was happening up front between the two best cars, Logano was closing on both of them. He wasn't just running third to collect a podium, he was hunting for a win. Remember that one-stop strategy Wolf called? That wasn't random. With 69 laps to go after the final restart, Logano was in third. He had fresh tires. He had one pit stop left if he needed it, but he was too close to the leaders to risk it. So he started hunting. Lap after lap, he closed the gap. With 15 laps to go, Logano was within 1 second of Elliott. 1 second. The shocking comeback was about to get even more shocking. Logano was going to challenge for the win. But Elliott held on. The pit strategy call worked. Elliott's fresh tires from that earlier stop were still alive. Logano ran out of laps. He took the checkered flag in third place. Let's stop and look at what just happened. In 1 week, Logano went from 33rd to a podium finish, from last place to top 3, from a driver who questioned everything about his season to a driver who almost beat Chase Elliott in the final laps. That's not just a comeback, that's a shock. The numbers prove it. This third-place finish equaled his best result of the entire 2026 season. His only other top 5 before Martinsville was the Daytona 500. He earned 46 points on Sunday, the most points he'd collected in a single race all year. Those 46 points moved him closer to the playoff picture. More importantly, they prove that he's still capable of running up front when the track suits him. Logano's own words after the race summed it up perfectly. He said his car could have won if he'd gotten the clean air earlier. He wasn't making excuses. He was being honest. Elliott just got the brakes. Logano didn't. But the fact that he was close enough to say that at all shows the level he was running at. Here's what makes this comeback even more shocking when you zoom out. Logano came into Martinsville on the playoff bubble. He had 0 wins in the first 6 races. Ford had struggled as a manufacturer all season. His teammate, Ryan Blaney, was running circles around the competition. The narrative around Joey Logano wasn't positive. It was survival. Can he make the chase? Sunday at Martinsville answered that question. Yes, he can. When the track is right, when the team is locked in, when he's at the paperclip, the old Joey Logano shows up. The 3-time champion shows up. The driver with 37 career wins shows up. The coolest part about this shocking comeback is what happens next. Martinsville proved something. It proved that Logano's 2026 season isn't over before it started. It proved he has the speed. It proved he has the team. He just needed the right track to wake up and remind everyone who he is. That's the power of one shocking race, one podium, one moment where a veteran driver reads the track perfectly, executes the strategy flawlessly, and nearly steals a win from the most dominant car on the track. That's not luck. That's not accident. That's proof that Joey Logano still shocks people at Martinsville. And that's exactly how he shocks everyone with his insane comeback.